Welcome back to The Explainer. We're skipping the usual intros today because, honestly, the atmosphere of what we're looking at demands our immediate attention. We're diving straight into Season 1, Episode 2 of Kolka aan Laferen, The Room Waiting for No One. Or is it? We're taking a close look at the terrifying paradox of Room 404. It's a story that takes your classic locked room mystery and just injects it with this creeping, suffocating sense of psychological dread. Our guy, Ayanle, has just unlocked a door that supposedly hasn't been opened in years. But as you'll see, the true horror isn't about what's locked inside. It's about what happens when the outside world decides to come knocking. Okay, let's dive into this with a single, chilling sentence that anchors this entire episode. If you hear someone knocking on the door at midnight, do not open it. The hotel manager's eerie warning. It's a classic horror trope, right? Setting up a terrifying rule. But the sheer brilliance of this specific warning is how it frames literally everything Ayanle does from the second he steps into room 404. It plants this massive seed of paranoia, not just in his head, but in ours too. Suddenly, every second ticking closer to midnight feels like a countdown. Section 1, Degunnen show on Kadiahen, or an uncanny silence. The door creeps open, and Ayanle takes his very first step inside. As he stands there, frozen for a second, what hits him isn't the suffocating dark. It's the silence. It's this heavy, unnatural quiet that almost makes you question if you can even hear your own heartbeat. His eyes slowly start to adjust to the pitch black, and out of the shadows, these simple details emerge. A small table, a solitary chair, a closed window. It's a perfectly simple, entirely untouched setup. No chaos, no signs of a struggle. But honestly, that pristine condition is exactly what makes the whole thing feel so incredibly wrong. And this brilliantly illustrates the disconnect here. Think about what you'd logically expect in a room sealed shut for years. You'd expect thick dust everywhere, right? That stale, gross smell of rot and abandonment. But the reality? The room is spotless, completely intact. There is zero evidence that this space was ever abandoned. It actually feels less like a forgotten storage room and more like, well, a stage. A stage that's been perfectly set, just waiting for the main actor to walk in. Which brings us to Section 2. Sirtokubkabumkako, the mystery of the coffee cup. Ayane drops his bag, hits the light switch, and bam! His eyes lock onto a detail that literally breaks reality. Sitting right there in the middle of the small table is a cup of coffee. And it's not some old moldy cup. There's a light steam actively rising from it. Ayanale just stops dead. He looks at it, looks away, looks back. It's not a hallucination. He actually steps closer and touches it. It's still warm. This absolutely terrifying anomaly means only one thing. Someone was just in here, mere moments before he walked in. Now, what's really interesting about this is why it's completely impossible. Let's break it down logically. Step 1. Ayanle had the only key. Step 2. When he got there, the door was firmly shut. And step 3, this is the real kicker. When he spins around to check the door, he confirms the lock was engaged from the inside. No one could have come in before him. No one could have slipped out behind him. Physically, it is absolutely impossible for another human being to have been in this room. And yet, that warm coffee proves someone was. Moving on to Section 3, Workada la Yapkale, the bizarre note. Ayanle desperately tries to rationalize this, but even he doesn't buy it. Because sitting right next to that fresh coffee is something even worse. A neatly folded piece of paper. He hesitates, obviously, before finally unfolding it. You're late. Just let the psychological dread of those two words sink in for a second. Someone wasn't just hanging out in this locked room. They were waiting for him. Who wrote it? And more importantly, who was waiting? Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. Diginti Sakda the Hay. The Midnight Warning. The story literally gives Ayanle zero time to recover. While he's just standing there gripping this note, a sound shatters the silence of room 404. It isn't loud, it's not frantic, it's 3 deliberate, heavy strikes against the wood of the door. Knock, knock, knock. Someone is out there in the hallway. In a total panic, Ayanle checks his watch. The hands align perfectly. It is exactly 12 a.m. midnight. This is such a striking visual anchor for the terror. It completely validates the manager's warning and confirms the danger is real and, terrifyingly, right on schedule. The manager's words are just screaming in his head now. If you hear someone knocking on the door at midnight, do not open it. The immediate danger is locked in. We know the rule, Ionley knows the rule, and the tension is just off the charts, because standing between him and whatever is out there is nothing but a single piece of wood. This leads us to the final section. Section 5. Kodka Gorinea Magachisa. The voice that knows his name. The knocking comes again. 3 more deliberate strikes, but this time, the physical mystery permanently shifts into pure psychological terror. A voice follows the knocking, and it makes his blood run completely cold. It's a woman's voice. Not a monster, not someone screaming. It's incredibly soft and calm. Please, open the door for me. Seriously, put yourself in Ionley's shoes for a second. You are totally alone, isolated on the 4th floor of this bizarre hotel at midnight, and a gentle voice is begging to come into a room that defies the laws of physics. What would you do? Ionley holds his breath. He figures, hey, if I stay quiet, maybe she'll leave. But then the voice speaks one last time. Ionley, I know you're inside. So the crucial point here is the absolute horror of that statement. No one at this hotel knows his name. He is a total stranger. The realization that this entity not only knows he's right there on the other side of the door, but actually knows his identity? I mean, wow, chilling. And that brings us to the masterful cliffhanger of episode 2. We're left staring at that locked door right alongside Ionley, just bombarded with questions. First off, who on earth is standing outside in that hallway? Are we talking about a person, a spirit, something tied to the dark history of the hotel? Secondly, how could she possibly know his name? His anonymity was supposed to be his shield, right? But this unknown woman just effortlessly sliced right through it. It implies this level of premeditation or maybe even a supernatural awareness that makes the threat infinitely worse. And finally, the ultimate question this whole explainer hinges on. What is room 404 really hiding? A steaming cup of coffee in a locked room, a cryptic note, and a voice in the dark that somehow knows your name. This room isn't just an empty space anymore. It feels like a trap that just snaps shut. I highly, highly recommend diving into the next chapter of the story, because whatever is waiting for Ionley in room 404 is really only just waking up. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember, if you hear a knock at midnight, well, you know what to do.